Brie Larson never sold as many Twinkies as this guy did. I just thought I'd set it up with a little bit of nice, relaxing classical music. You know, probably going to play it throughout this whole video. So, because comic books are classic. Comic books are something that, if you can come across some, you should hang on to them. Because they're not making them anymore. I mean, well, of course they are still making comic books that are outrageously expensive, and crazy groundbreaking things happen that they just erase and cancel in the very next issue anyway, and it's not the same collectability, not the same as the 80s. And so I figured I picked out a bunch of comics that are exclusively all from the 80s, from different times in the 80s. Some major titles that you'll probably recognize. These are ones that I have a little bit more than just a passing familiarity with. I think I can see one exception in there that I've never actually read. Anyway, I guess let's get to it. First up, I got some Avengers. Avengers, always a classic comic. This happens to be issue 150, and it's it's not in the greatest condition, but it is it's the 150th anniversary issue. That's what it actually says right there, anniversary special. This is it. 150 issues of the Avengers. So we're at 25 cents here, so I'm guessing the year on this is probably, oh geez, I don't know, 75, 76. In any case, yeah, issue 150, you can see clearly you got Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Vision, Scarlet Witch, the Beast, also from X-Men fame. You got way in the back here, you got Hellcat, Patsy Walker, whose name you might recognize from the Jessica Jones Netflix series. Then way up there, tiny, you got Wasp. You got Yellow Jacket right here. An alter ego of Hank Pym. Another costumed version of which he had several. And this bald lady right here is Moondragon, who, according to these old 70s/80s Avengers, happens to be the daughter of Drax the Destroyer. Now, their origin and their timeline is so much different than the MCU movies, Guardians of the Galaxy movies. But yeah, Drax the Destroyer is her dad. Anyway, this is Avengers 150. It's a landmark issue. It's not in the greatest shape, but it's in good condition. So I'm going to keep it that way. Actually, I would say very good condition. VG plus, actually. Probably bordering on well, it's a little rough to be a fine. In any case, I'm not going to take this out of the bag because, I kind of want to preserve this. I don't actually remember what the storyline is for this one. I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary, just a regular old Avengers adventure. But yeah, good issue. And one of the other issues I happened to find in this random pile that I did bother to take out of the bag is, well, this Marvel comic could be worth $2,500 to you. Details inside. Okay. Well, I can tell you right now that's not going to be worth $2,500 to you, at least not in this timeline. This is Avengers 199. We're looking at a 50-cent cover price. So the cover price has doubled in 49 issues. Doubled. Comic is the same, pretty much the same thickness, I think. I don't know if you can really tell the difference there. This one is actually in pretty good shape, so I'd better be careful with it. What you can see is inside, where we are here, is inside a giant rampaging robot. This one. Or a, remotely piloted robot. I think it is supposed to have some kind of a AI going on with it. Yeah, Red Ronin is his name. Red Ronin. Now, yeah, right in the very first page you can see Hawkeye shooting an arrow at it. Not doing a lot of damage, doesn't look like. So yeah, we get some action. It opens up with some action. There's Wonder Man and Hawkeye are in there, and they're trying to stop this robot from destroying the city. I think they're supposed to be destroying Brooklyn or something, or Queens. And they have to have a team meeting. How are we going to stop this giant robot? Oh, hey! Have you tried the X-ray specs? Maybe that'll do it. Anyway, yeah, looks like they make a little bit of progress here. Turns out there's somebody inside that's trying to hack into the system or something like that. And I think he's, he's not able to stop Red Ronin from rampaging and destroying. Yeah, there's some delightfully silly stuff going on there. Well, it's not silly. This is earth-shattering freaking battles. Captain America dodges out of the way of the gigantic shield that this robot wields, just like his own. Wow, check it out. This is when they tried to sell you Empire Strikes Back stuff, and they couldn't even afford to put a picture from the Empire Strikes Back in the ad in the comic book, because reproducing a photo ad in a comic book was like super expensive and high tech back in what year is this anyway? Back in 1980, because of course Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980, you idiot. You managed to bring the robot down and smash, and yeah, it gets up again and it's about to start destroying shit again. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh my god, he stopped, what's happening? And then, dunk! The Beast. Oh, he's brilliant. He figured out to pull the plug and defeat the giant robot, and he's no longer a threat. And hey guys, let's have our group shot and group hug. And good job. Good job, Cap. Good job, Hawkeye. Yeah, there's got to be an ad for Hostess Twinkies in there somewhere. This one actually features Captain Marvel. Back when it was a dude. He actually died in the comics. And, I think it's about time in the 21st century that we actually bestowed the mantle of Captain Marvel on Carol Danvers, a female, and she didn't have to go around being called Miss Marvel anymore. I bet Brie Larson never sold as many Twinkies as this guy did. $1.99 leads to another comic that I'm not going to take out of the bag. Avengers 200. I love this comic. I've only read it, I think, 3 times. Because every time that I've read it, it's been a new copy, or at least a copy that's new to me. And then I read it before I transfer it to like a better bag and stuff. And then I seal it, and I leave it in the bag, and I don't touch it anymore, because this is a great comic, and it's a great milestone issue of the Avengers. This one actually features Carol Danvers, this time known as Miss Marvel, quite prominently. The main story, which I'm not going to even spoil, I'm not going to even hint at it, but she's a big part of it. And it's a really unique and a really weird storyline. I'm afraid you're just going to have to buy this comic to find out. Then I got this one I found at a thrift store. It's probably not worth a lot of money, but it's pretty cool. I'll look it up. Maybe it is worth some money. Marvel Weirdness. Bizarre Adventures. $2.25. And this is dated. You probably can't read it on camera there. Yeah, 1982. It's only 2 years after the Avengers 200, which cost you 75 cents. in 1980. 1982, $2.25. Well, there's a bunch of reasons for that. I mean, it's got a really glossy cover, really like thick paper cover. The pages themselves are actually, this is premium paper this comic is printed on. Marvel was really into that in the early 80s, and they kind of went forward. Well, Marvel and DC, I suppose, went with all kinds of new paper finishes and things, and it turned out to be the final issue of Bizarre Adventures. It's number 34, and it's a Christmas special. Hey, special Hate the Holidays issue. Not for kiddies. Well, yeah, I mean, it's got a skeleton on the cover. Skeletal Santa. Okay. I only got around to actually reading the first story in this comic. It's called The Son of Santa. And I read the first page. I was like, nah, I don't know. They're setting me up for probably a boring story here. But, you know, it's got a title, Son of Santa. You got to check that out. So, yeah, there's a little bit of reading going on here. Turns out that Santa is, like, missing or dead or something like that. And this little guy right here is an elf. And he finds this guy and he tells him, hey, you got to become the new Santa. Because it's your birthright. You are the son of Santa. Oh, hey, what's going on here? Santa's frozen in the ice somehow. And I guess dead there. But yeah, and it tells a backstory and all this stuff. And this guy becomes the son of Santa. And, okay, now, they can't be just me. Is there a particular movie that pops in your mind when you think of this? Or when you see this? I would have to say, you know, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 1 or 2, I suppose. Garbage Day! Anyway, you know, I don't think he goes around with an axe and kills people or anything like that. What he actually does is he has, like, Super Santa powers, and he has to fight this, I don't know, what is it, Jack Frost or some shit? Hey, it's been a couple weeks since I read this. But, yeah. Yeah, I guess he's got to fight this dude. And so he beats him up, and he's Santa Hero or whatever. And all the Santa cliches and tropes go on, and he beats the bad guy, puts him in Santa's bag of holding or whatever. And then he decides, I'm going to be the new Santa. I love this gig. And then he flies off with, curiously, only 2 reindeer. But, yeah. That's the end of the story. Then it goes into what I haven't read. Is a Howard the Duck story. It actually looks pretty good. I think it might be a takeoff or a parody on It's a Wonderful Life, something like that. Then some other kind of pseudo Santa Claus thing. This looks nasty. Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of violence in here. I don't think there's any sex or anything like that, so I guess it's not for kids. Whoa, hey. Is that some eyeball gouging, or what is that? I don't even know. Impaled Santa Claus there at the top. And a bloody painted Easter egg. Okay, yeah, this is getting probably a little adult, and you probably don't want to be marketing this to the same kids as you're trying to sell, like, Muppet Babies or something. Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex. Guess? I'm going to take a guess on this year. I'm going to say 1981. No, 1980. Okay. So, actually, Avengers at the time was more expensive than this. In the early 80s, I don't know, it just seemed like comics were, the price went from 40 to 50 to 75, like, really quickly. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. Ooh, this one's got a Spalding ad on the back. I guess it's advertising for basketballs. Who we got here? It's Rick Barry and Dr. J. Alright, swish. Dunk. Yeah, I never bought a basketball because a comic book told me to. I'm just not a basketball guy. And if you had the camera facing me right now, you'd certainly be able to tell why. Okay, well there's some shit going down. Jonah Hex riding his horse, you know, just out through the wilderness. Oh, this is interesting. The Dingo Kids meet O.J. Simpson. I guess those are the Dingo Kids. A couple of dingoes. Oh, I see. Dingo boots. Cowboy boots were a big thing in like a mainstream thing. Like every kid in North America wanted a pair of cowboy boots. For some weird reason in I guess 1980, Empire Strikes Back era. Until we learned there was Star Wars and stuff that was way cooler than freaking cowboy boots, advertised by O.J. Simpson, the one and only. This is in 1980. This is before he ever even became like an actor or anything like this. This is just while he was. Well, I guess he's I don't know his career. I'm sorry. Was he still playing at the time? I guess so. Yeah, because I mean they're showing it right here. Okay, who cares? This isn't about OJ. This is about JH. This is about Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex, if you don't know who Jonah Hex is, okay, you can't really tell from that picture there, but Jonah Hex has a fucked up face. Can't even really tell that much there. Maybe this one. He's got that weird, one big crazy eye, and he's got the weird scar on that one side of his face. I don't really have a good example here. Because I don't really focus on it that much, to be honest. He's a pretty established character. But he's got that one, buggy eye. Right here is a good one. And you can see, part of his skin, folds over the corner of his mouth. Or I guess this is, burned away, or whatever. Yeah, he's got a fucked up face. Apparently wounded by tomahawk. A superheated tomahawk to the face as punishment for something. Jonah Hex has a pretty complex history, believe it or not. Not in terms of, publication or anything like that, but just in terms of the character himself. He's been through a lot. And he's always got this code of honor. He never kills innocent people, and he always tries to protect the innocent. And, but here we go. Oh, here he is. He's, murdering indigenous people. I guess they're not innocent. I don't know. Maybe he's reasoning it out in his head here. Nothing I could do. And then, I don't know what's going on in the rest of the comic. I mean, who cares? It's a Western. I don't like Westerns. I know a lot of people who like this comic a lot, and I could see if I was going to read any Western comics, which, I'll be honest, I probably own 2 or 3 dozen Western comics. No, more than that. And I think I've read maybe about 6 or 7 of them. And pretty much all of them have been Jonah Hex. It's pretty good, actually. The writing is pretty good, and the art's okay, I guess. It's good because it's not a superhero comic, and this is 1980 again. So superhero comic. I mean, a non-superhero Western comic. I mean, how could that possibly compete with Star Wars or Superman or Spider-Man or any of that stuff? But it did. I mean, it ran for 100 issues or something like that. Here's a little bit later issue in some really shabby condition. Oh, we almost got some cleavage on the cover there. Jonah Hex with his shirt off. If you look closely, you can still see he's got kind of a fucked up face there. Saving the horses from a burning barn. I think you'd better save that lady right there. Yeah. Jonah Hex. Love him or hate him. I'll say one thing about these comics. Way better than the movie. And there should be a movie of this. Ambush Bug. Ambush Bug is a parody character. He's one of those breaks the fourth wall way before Deadpool ever even thought of doing that. And I'm not talking Deadpool the movie. I mean Deadpool the character wasn't even a character. But I mean, he's like pure comedy. This guy, he's not really expected to take place in too much action. But he's got a very unique art style. And basically the character of Ambush Bug is a guy who found it. Well, you don't even really ever get full panels of him, but here he is in I suppose in his full gear, because he is a guy that basically found a suit that gives him the power to teleport, and I guess gives him like certain invulnerabilities and stuff like that. And he's completely insane, or I guess the wearing of it drove him insane or something. But he's insane, and he's a funny guy, and he makes fun of Superman all the time, and all kinds of. He pokes fun of like a lot of DC comics, which I really didn't care for at the time that this came out. And so I was like, that's hilarious. Those comics suck. But really, I mean, in a way, this is really just promoting those DC comics. Yeah, this was one of the few DC comics I would actually buy back in the day, just because it was a parody and it was funny and it was totally unique and way different than most of the superhero stuff that was out there. And there's even like later on even in the first issue here, it goes into these like full page parody ads even. And comic features and stuff, and then yeah, there's all kinds of craziness going on here. Here he is getting pizza, and he finds Darkseid in his apartment, drops his pizza. Cliffhanger. We got Atari Force. Yeah, who ever heard of this, right? It was a thing. I mean, it wasn't a big thing, but it was one of the very first attempted comic adaptations of video game stuff, even though all it really used was the name Atari. Sorry, what year is this? 1983. Yeah, and you can see they're actually advertising for it in television inside the cover of a comic called Atari Force. These were competitors of television and Atari, so I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, and check it out. You can get an Atari cartridge for Qbert. Also for the Sears Video Arcade system. Okay, don't know what that's all about. Yeah, so as you can imagine, it's probably full of a bunch of comic book ads and things like that. But it looks like they made some kind of slightly imaginative science fiction story going on here. The art's not bad and it's fairly decent. Sort of pseudo superhero or superheroes in space, I guess, because in 1983 everything had to be in space. Yeah, I don't know. Looks all right. I'm not getting Atari vibes from this. Like, unless I imagine like the sound effects that are going on here, like the bow, bow, those kind of Atari sound effects. Yeah, Atari Force. I wonder how many Atari 2600 consoles got sold because some kid saw this comic and read the comic and said, "That's awesome. I want to play video games because they'll be just like this." None. Nobody did that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The movie. But it's Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The movie. So we're, written and illustrated by the original creators. of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Back when it was a black and white comic. This would have been, not that many years after the first Ninja Turtles comic books came out, which were, very similar to this, actually. I imagine some kids probably that saw the movie and they saw there was a comic book adaptation of it, probably went out and bought this or looked at it, and they were like, what the hell? First of all, there's no color. And there's probably some stuff that they maybe changed a little bit in the story to kind of make it a bit more of a hybrid between the movie, things that happen in the movie, and things that happen in the original comic. I don't really think so. I don't think there's too much different. I think they were probably pretty faithful to however the movie came out. But it just seems really weird that the original creators took something that they created that somebody else created based on their stuff, and they took it and they brought it back to them and did it in their own way again. It's a weird, it's a weird loop. There's actually another version of this too. Not another version, but there's another issue of this, which I have. That is the comic adaptation of the second movie, which came out not that long after the first movie. Because they were cranking out Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles were fire in the 80s, man. And, yeah. I guess they kind of still are. But